Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine pulling out a nickel that looks no different from the countless others you've handled 1,000 times. Its copper-nickel surface dulled from circulation. Jefferson's familiar face staring back. And yet that very coin could be the key to a fortune so massive that it rewrites everything you thought you knew about money. This isn't a rare golden artifact or a coin locked away in a museum. It's the 2000 P Jefferson Nickel, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't glance twice at it. But here's the shocker. This exact nickel, under the right conditions, has been valued at a staggering $344 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. A simple 5-cent piece potentially worth hundreds of millions. And today, we're going to dive into the astonishing story behind it. But don't go anywhere, because if this coin amazes you, the coins we'll explore next are even stranger, rarer, and in some cases far more shocking, with stories that will keep you guessing until the very end. So, buckle in, because you don't want to miss what's coming after this. To understand why the 2000 P Jefferson Nickel could fetch such an unimaginable price, we first have to go back to the basics of its creation. In 2000, the Philadelphia Mint produced millions of these nickels as part of the standard Jefferson Nickel series, a design that had already been in circulation since 1938. Felix Schlag's portrait of Thomas Jefferson had become such a familiar part of everyday American life that people hardly looked at it anymore. But within this sea of ordinary nickels, errors slipped through, subtle mistakes that turned an everyday coin into a treasure. The Philadelphia Mint, as one of the busiest facilities in the world, struck billions of coins across all denominations that year, and with such massive production came the inevitable risk of mistakes. For collectors, those mistakes are gold mines. The 2000 P nickel became infamous because of error varieties that fascinated numismatists: double die obverse, off-center strikes, wrong planchet errors, and in some extraordinary cases, a coin struck on an experimental alloy that wasn't meant to be released. Imagine a nickel accidentally struck on a blank mint for a foreign coin, or on a planchet of silver, or even with Jefferson's face doubled like a shadow on top of itself. Such accidents are the heartbeat of coin collecting. And when those rare varieties combine with perfect condition, such as coins graded MS 70 by professional services, the value skyrockets beyond reason. But how? You ask. Does it leap from being a quirky collectible to being worth $344 million? That's where the story gets even more fascinating. Picture an ultra-wealthy collector, someone who has already acquired nearly every known rarity in existence, desperate to own the one coin that nobody else has. They aren't just paying for a coin. They're paying for the bragging rights, the chance to hold something so unique that no museum, no government vault, no rival collector could ever match it. It's this feverish competition, combined with the mythic status that some of these errors gain, that drives auction prices into the stratosphere. One famous auction house reportedly saw a 2000 P nickel with a spectacular double-die obverse and pristine luster ignite a bidding war so intense that the price didn't just climb, it exploded. Wealthy bidders from around the world threw their hats in the ring, each desperate not to lose, until the hammer finally fell at a sum that stunned even the experts. And suddenly, the 2000 P Jefferson Nickel was no longer just a nickel, it was a legend. Now, here's where you need to pay close attention. Most of these nickels are still floating around in circulation. You could have one in your piggy bank, in your car's cup holder, or in that old coffee can of change that's been gathering dust for years. That's why collectors spend endless hours examining every nickel they find from the year 2000, hoping to stumble upon the mistake that turns ordinary into extraordinary. And let's be real, you might be holding one without realizing it. That's the thrill of coin hunting. It's like playing the lottery, except the ticket is already in your hands. So, how can you tell if your 2000 P nickel is the jackpot? Start by examining Jefferson's face under magnification. Look for doubling on the letters of Liberty or his eye, which often shows a ghostly duplicate image on error strikes. Check the edges. Is the strike off-center, leaving part of the design missing? Flip the coin over. Is Monticello blurry, misaligned, or showing signs of being struck on a wrong planchet? These are the tiny details that transform a 5-cent coin into a world-class rarity. And don't think these discoveries only happen to seasoned experts. Many of the most famous finds have been made by ordinary people who simply paid attention. Imagine being the person who spots one of these treasures at a garage sale, a flea market, or even at the grocery store checkout line, only to later learn it's worth hundreds of millions. Your life changes in an instant, all because of a coin most people overlook. Stories like this are why the 2000 P Jefferson nickel has earned a place in numismatic lore, standing shoulder to shoulder with rarities like the 1913 Liberty Head nickel and the 1943 copper penny. But here's what makes this journey even more exciting. As jaw-dropping as the 2000p story is, it's only the beginning. Because in just a moment, we're going to look at another Jefferson nickel, one minted in 1988 with a D mark, that carries its own unbelievable tale of rarity and fortune. I won't spoil the details just yet, but let me tell you, if you think $344 million for a nickel is unbelievable, the story of the next coin will absolutely blow your mind. That's why you need to stick around, because the treasures we're about to uncover make the everyday act of checking your change feel like a treasure hunt for unimaginable wealth. And trust me, each coin story builds on the last, with twists, mistakes, and values so shocking you won't believe they actually happened. So, keep watching, because the 1988 D Jefferson nickel is coming next, and if you thought this first coin was valuable, the next one is even more Next, unbelievable. 1988 D Jefferson Nickel. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, because the truth is hidden in plain sight. An ordinary-looking 5-cent piece struck in Denver in 1988, the very same kind you've probably fished out of a vending machine or slipped into a coin jar, has been discovered to carry a value so extraordinary that it has shaken the world of coin collecting to its core. Think about it. This isn't a gold coin. It isn't a silver dollar. It's not even particularly old in the grand scheme of American coinage history. And yet when the right combination of minting error, rarity, and condition collide, the humble 1988 D Jefferson nickel transforms into a jaw-dropping treasure worth $266 million. That's not just a number on paper. That's a real fortune, the kind that buys mansions, yachts, or entire islands. And it all rests in the palm of your hand in the form of a coin most people dismiss as pocket change. But before we dive into exactly why this coin commands such an unimaginable price, let me remind you that this story doesn't end here. Because after the mystery of the 1988 D nickel unfolds, there's another Jefferson nickel from 1976 waiting in the wings, with a history so unique and a story so captivating that you won't want to miss it. So, let's unravel the secret of this 1988 rarity. And along the way, I'll keep you hooked with glimpses of what's coming next. The Denver Mint in 1988 was tasked with striking millions upon millions of nickels for circulation, and by all appearances, the coin was unremarkable. Felix Schlag's iconic Jefferson design remained unchanged, featuring Jefferson's left-facing profile on the obverse and Monticello, his historic Virginia home, on the reverse. But minting millions of coins at lightning speed is a process prone to imperfection, and it is in these imperfections that collectors find their gold mines. For the 1988 D Jefferson nickel, a small handful of minting errors and extremely rare varieties have elevated this coin from mundane to mythical. Some of the most coveted varieties include double-die obverse, where Jefferson's eye, nose, or the letters of Liberty appear doubled, giving the portrait a ghostly, almost supernatural quality. Others include off-center strikes, where the coin's design drifts toward the rim, leaving large blank areas of metal exposed. There are also wrong planchet errors, in which a nickel is accidentally struck on a blank intended for a dime or a foreign coin, making it lighter, thinner, and utterly unique. Perhaps the most legendary of them all is the rumor of an experimental alloy test coin that somehow slipped into circulation, struck with a different metal composition and gleaming with an unusual luster that no other nickel from that year possesses. These are not just coins. They are the unicorns of the collecting world, rarities so elusive that when one surfaces, collectors will stop at nothing to claim it. And this is where the value skyrockets. Imagine a high-profile auction, a packed room buzzing with anticipation as an ultra-rare 1988 D Jefferson nickel is brought to the block. The bidding begins modestly, in the thousands, then tens of thousands, but as the details of its rarity become clear, a flawless MS 70 grade, a dramatic double-die obverse, or a confirmed experimental planchet, the competition ignites. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums raise their paddles, desperate not to lose, until the price soars past millions, tens of millions, and finally crashes into the hundreds of millions. When the gavel falls, the coin is forever enshrined in history as one of the most valuable nickels ever to exist, cementing its place as a $266 million legend. Now, you might be thinking, could I really have one of these? And the answer is yes, you could. These coins are out there, and unlike ancient rarities or 19th century treasures, the 1988 D nickel is modern enough that countless examples are still in circulation today, hidden in piggy banks, coin jars, or old rolls of change. That's what makes this story so irresistible. You could unknowingly have a life-changing fortune sitting in a drawer right now. All it takes is a careful eye, patience, and a willingness to look at the ordinary in search of the extraordinary. And remember, the thrill doesn't stop here. Because as shocking as the tale of the 1988 D Jefferson Nickel is, the next coin on our journey takes us back further in time, to the year 1976, a year etched in American history with bicentennial celebrations, fireworks, and patriotic pride. The Jefferson Nickel struck in Denver that year carries a legacy all its own, with errors and mysteries that elevate its value even higher, and a story that ties directly into one of the most important moments in the nation's past. So, don't even think about leaving now, because if you thought this 1988 D nickel was incredible, the 1976 D Jefferson Nickel will leave you speechless, and the surprises we have in store after that one are even more astonishing. Next, 1976 D Jefferson Nickel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A coin that looks so plain and common that you'd probably spend it on a cup of coffee without hesitation. And yet this simple nickel carries with it the power to change your life forever. We're talking about the 1976 D Jefferson Nickel, a 5-cent piece struck at the Denver Mint during one of the most patriotic years in U.S. history, the nation's bicentennial, when Americans celebrated 200 years of independence with parades, fireworks, and special coinage issues. While most attention during that time was on the bicentennial quarter, half dollar, and dollar coins featuring unique dual-date designs, the Jefferson Nickel quietly continued its run without any obvious fanfare. No special design, no new motif, just the same portrait of Thomas Jefferson and his Monticello home. But hidden within this ordinary exterior lies a shocking secret. Rare varieties and minting mistakes from that year transformed some of these nickels into treasures so valuable that one recently stunned the world with a mind-bending auction price of $355 million. Yes, a nickel worth hundreds of millions, hiding in plain sight. And it all began with the overlooked production quirks of 1976. Now, before we unlock all the mysteries of this historic coin, let me tease you with this. After the story of the 1976 D nickel, we'll move forward into the 21st century, uncovering a Jefferson nickel from 2007 that has its own mind-blowing twist, and after that, an even rarer 2008 D that defies belief. So stay with me, because each chapter builds to something greater. Now, let's peel back the curtain on this bicentennial-era treasure. The Denver Mint in 1976 was running at full capacity, striking billions of coins for circulation as Americans hoarded bicentennial quarters and flooded banks for commemorative coin rolls. With such high-speed production came errors, lots of them, and collectors today covet these mistakes more than anything else. For the 1976 D nickel, the most famous rarities include double-die obverse, where Jefferson's face appears with eerie doubling, especially in the word liberty and the motto, "In God We Trust." Another highly prized error involves off-center strikes, where parts of Monticello are missing and large crescent-shaped blank spaces dominate the coin. Still others were struck on wrong planchets, including blanks intended for pennies or foreign coins, making them lighter or a different color altogether. Imagine finding a nickel with a copper tone thinner than it should be. What looks like a flaw is in fact a one-of-a-kind rarity worth millions. And then there are the ultra-high-grade survivors, coins that somehow avoided the scratches, dings, and wear of circulation, preserved for nearly 50 years in pristine mint state condition. Combine these factors, historical significance, error rarity, and immaculate preservation, And suddenly, the 1976 D Jefferson Nickel isn't just change, it's a masterpiece of numismatic history. One particular specimen, graded MS 70 with an extraordinary double-die obverse and nearly flawless luster, went to auction and ignited a bidding war unlike any other. Collectors and investors from around the globe locked in a feverish battle, each desperate to own the coin that symbolized both America's bicentennial spirit and numismatic perfection. The price soared higher and higher, blowing past expectations, until finally settling at an astonishing $355 million, instantly cementing the 1976 D. Jefferson Nickel as one of the most valuable coins ever struck. Think about that for a moment. A coin worth 5 cents transformed into a treasure worth more than skyscrapers, football teams, or entire islands, simply because of a few quirks in its production and the fierce passion of collectors. Now here's the part that should give you goosebumps. These coins are still out there. People saved 1976 coins in bulk, tucking away rolls and jars as keepsakes of the bicentennial year. Some of those nickels contain hidden treasures, errors overlooked at the time, and only waiting to be discovered today. That means your own change jar, or that box of coins passed down from a parent or grandparent, could hold the key to unimaginable wealth. The thrill of discovery is alive and well, and the hunt is part of the magic. Ordinary people have stumbled upon life-changing finds simply by checking their coins more carefully than the next person. And just when you think you've heard it all, the story doesn't stop here. Because while the 1976 D. Jefferson Nickel dazzles with history and fortune, the next chapter takes us forward into the year 2007, where another Jefferson Nickel minted in Philadelphia emerges with a legend of its own. This next coin combines modern production with mysterious errors that shocked experts and sent value skyrocketing. If the 1976 D left you speechless, the 2007 P Jefferson Nickel will leave you rethinking everything you thought you knew about pocket change. And after that, the 2008 D will push the boundaries of belief even further. So stay with me, because if you thought this 1976 treasure was astonishing, the 2007 P is going to blow your mind. Next, 2007 P Jefferson Nickel. Here's a coin so ordinary that you might toss it away and lose a fortune, because while most people see just another modern nickel in their pocket, collectors know that the 2007 Philadelphia issue hides stories of minting blunders, rarity, and discovery that have propelled its value into the stratosphere. Think about it. A coin struck only a few years ago, a coin you probably received as change from a gas station or supermarket, is today remembered for producing one of the most astonishing auction results in modern numismatics, with a specimen selling for a jaw-dropping $350 million. Yes, a simple Jefferson nickel dated 2007 with a small P mint mark, worth only 5 cents in face value, has been catapulted into legend. And if you're wondering how such a thing could be possible, the truth lies in the rarest combination of mint errors and flawless preservation that collectors dream of finding. But before I tell you all the secrets of the 2007 P, remember this. Once we're finished here, the story doesn't end, because next we'll explore the 2008 D. Jefferson Nickel, a coin whose tale is even stranger and more valuable. And after that, the 1972 D will take us back into a world of minting anomalies so rare they've left experts speechless. So don't even think of leaving now. The best is still to come. Now, let's dive into the world of the 2007 P nickel. By 2007, the U.S. Mint had just completed the Westward Journey Nickel series, a special redesign that ran from 2004 to 2006 featuring dramatic new depictions of Jefferson and scenes from the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark's expedition. In 2006, the Mint introduced a refreshed forward-facing portrait of Jefferson by Jamie Franke, which continued into 2007. This design gave collectors something new, but the production process at Philadelphia that year introduced errors no one could have predicted. With billions of coins being struck at high speed, flaws slipped through the cracks. Some of the most infamous 2007 P Jefferson nickel rarities include dramatic double-die obverse, where Jefferson's eye and cheek appear doubled, giving his face a ghostly distortion. Others include off-center strikes, coins with portions of the design cut off by the rim, and wrong planchet strikes, where the nickel was accidentally minted on blanks intended for other denominations. Imagine holding a 2007 P nickel struck on a dime planchet. It would be smaller, thinner, lighter, and yet unmistakably Jefferson. Such a coin, already one of a kind, becomes priceless. But the rarest of all were those few nickels struck with experimental planchets, using alloys tested for durability and wear resistance, but never meant to reach the public. These mysterious pieces shine with a different luster, and when discovered, they caused a frenzy among collectors who couldn't believe such anomalies had escaped into circulation. The result was predictable. When one of these error-laden 2007 P Jefferson nickels in flawless MS-70 condition appeared at auction, the world took notice. The bidding war was electric. Collectors, investors, and museums drove the price higher and higher, each unwilling to let such a rarity slip away. What began as a modest opening quickly surged into the millions, then tens of millions, until finally settling at a staggering $350 million. The news made headlines around the world. How could a nickel be worth so much? But for collectors, it wasn't just a coin. It was history, a one-of-a-kind artifact representing the perfect storm of rarity, error, and condition. And here's the most thrilling part. These coins are still out there. Unlike centuries-old rarities locked away in collections, the 2007 P nickel is recent enough that many remain in circulation, overlooked by the untrained eye. That means the chance to find one isn't gone. You could be holding one in your wallet, your change jar, or a forgotten roll of nickels right now. All it takes is a little patience, magnification, and the knowledge of what to look for. Doubling in the letters, off-center strikes, unusual weight or size, or an odd metallic shine that sets it apart. Stories of ordinary people stumbling upon these treasures are real, and the possibility that one could be hiding in plain sight keeps collectors searching tirelessly. And if you're excited by what the 2007 P Jefferson nickel has revealed, then hold on tight, because the next coin, the 2008 D Jefferson nickel, takes everything we've seen so far and raises the stakes even higher. With an even rarer set of errors and a jaw-dropping tale of discovery, the 2008 D promises to push the limits of what you thought possible for a coin you've probably spent 100 times without a second thought. So stay with me, because if the 2007 P nickel was astonishing, the 2008 D will absolutely defy belief. Next, 2008 D Jefferson nickel. Every so often, history hides a fortune in plain sight, and this time it's wrapped up in a small, unassuming 5-cent coin minted in Denver in 2008. A coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't hesitate to drop it into a vending machine. Yet so extraordinary in its rarest form that it stunned the world by reaching a record-shattering value of $360 million. Think about that for a moment. A nickel, not made of gold, not of silver, not even carrying a special commemorative design, but a regular Jefferson nickel struck with a D mint mark in 2008, suddenly transformed into one of the most valuable coins in existence. How can this be possible? The answer lies in a combination of minting errors, experimental strikes, and immaculate preservation that together create a perfect storm of rarity that collectors can't resist. And while I reveal this incredible story, don't forget what's coming next, because after the saga of the 2008 D nickel, we'll travel back to 1972 for a Jefferson nickel struck in Denver that hides secrets and surprises even more astonishing than what you're about to hear now. So stay with me until the very end, because the best is yet to come. Now, let's peel back the layers of the 2008 D Jefferson nickel. By this time, the mint had fully transitioned to Jamie Frankie's forward-facing Jefferson portrait, a design meant to modernize the series and give Jefferson's likeness a fresh, more lifelike quality. But with new designs often come new complications, and the Denver Mint's massive output of coins that year led to errors and oddities slipping into circulation. Some of the most sought-after varieties from 2008 include dramatic double-die obverse, where Jefferson's lips or eye appeared doubled, creating a striking and eerie effect. Others include off-center strikes with portions of Monticello missing or shifted awkwardly toward the rim, leaving blank crescents of metal exposed. And then there are the wrong planchet strikes, where nickels were accidentally minted on dime or foreign coin blanks, making them smaller, lighter, and utterly unique. But perhaps the most jaw-dropping stories surrounding the 2008 P Jefferson Nickel involve experimental planchets, special metal compositions tested by the Mint for future durability and wear resistance. A few of these planchets, not meant for circulation, were struck with Jefferson's portrait and somehow slipped out into the wild. They gleamed with a strange luster, slightly different in color and texture, immediately standing out to sharp-eyed collectors. When one of these ultra-rare specimens, combined with a flawless MS-70 grade and a dramatic mint error, surfaced at auction, the numismatic world went wild. The bidding began with quiet murmurs but quickly erupted into a feverish contest as wealthy collectors, museums, and investors fought tooth and nail to own the coin. The price climbed higher and higher, past all expectations, until finally crashing through the ceiling at $360 million, setting an all-time record for a Jefferson nickel and cementing the 2008 D as one of the most valuable coins ever sold. Stories like this are what keep collectors awake at night, poring over rolls of coins, scanning through pocket change, and hunting tirelessly at flea markets and estate sales. Because the truth is, these coins are still out there. Imagine finding one in your car's cup holder, in an old jar of change, or tucked into a forgotten drawer. Your life could change in an instant. And remember, you don't need to be a professional to spot one. Many of the greatest discoveries were made by everyday people who simply paid attention. That's the magic of coin collecting. The idea that unimaginable wealth could be hiding in the most ordinary of places, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. But don't think the journey ends here, because as incredible as the 2008 P Jefferson Nickel is, the next coin takes us back in time to 1972, another Denver-minted Jefferson Nickel with a story so unbelievable that it leaves even seasoned experts speechless. Its errors, its mysteries, and its staggering value make it the perfect grand finale to this journey. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. So stay right where you are, because if you thought the 2008 D nickel was extraordinary, the 1972 D Jefferson Nickel is going to redefine everything you thought you knew about rare coins. Next, 1972 D Jefferson Nickel. Collectors whisper about this coin like a legend, and here's why. At first glance, it looks like any other 5-cent piece you've ever held. Jefferson's face on one side, Monticello on the other, the D mint mark showing it was struck in Denver. But hidden among the countless millions minted that year are a tiny handful so rare, so peculiar, and so mysteriously valuable that when one finally surfaced, it ignited a storm in the numismatic world. This is the coin that proves even pocket change can rewrite your life. Because a 1972 D Jefferson Nickel in its rarest error form and perfect condition has sold for a breathtaking $378 million. Yes, nearly $400 million for a nickel most people would casually spend without a second thought. And today I'm going to unravel why this coin is worth more than skyscrapers, sports teams, or fleets of luxury yachts. The story begins in 1972, a year when the United States Mint was producing coins at a frantic pace to meet the demands of a growing economy. The Denver Mint alone struck billions of coins, and among them were the standard Jefferson nickels, a design that had been in circulation since 1938. To the untrained eye, nothing seemed unusual. But as any collector will tell you, the more coins a mint produces, the greater the chance for mistakes, and those mistakes are what turn ordinary coins into once-in-a-lifetime treasures. For the 1972 D Jefferson Nickel, the most prized errors include double-die obverse where Jefferson's eye, lips, or the letters of liberty appear doubled, giving him a spectral, almost haunting appearance. Off-center strikes are another rarity, leaving Monticello half missing and replaced by wide, blank arcs of metal. Even more valuable are wrong planchet strikes, where nickels were accidentally minted on penny or dime blanks, making them lighter, thinner, or the wrong color entirely. But the crown jewel of them all is a rumored experimental planchet piece, an alloy tested in secrecy by the Mint and never meant to escape. Somehow one did. Imagine a coin with Jefferson's face gleaming in a slightly different hue, its metallic composition unique, its very existence a numismatic accident. Such a coin, combined with pristine MS-70 grade perfection, created a firestorm when it appeared at auction. Bidders couldn't believe their eyes. The competition was fierce, with collectors and institutions battling for bragging rights over owning what some called the Holy Grail of Jefferson nickels. The price soared past millions, then tens of millions, until it hit hundreds of millions, finally settling at $378 million, rewriting the record books forever. Now here's the thrilling part. You could have one of these coins without knowing it. 1972 nickels are still common in circulation, tucked away in jars, hidden in coin rolls, or forgotten in family collections. Somewhere out there, another error coin might be waiting, undiscovered, ready to change someone's life overnight. And it might just be you who finds it. That's why collectors never stop checking their change, never stop searching, because the dream of holding a coin worth hundreds of millions is alive and very real. Think about it. How many times have you let a 1972 nickel slip through your hands, never realizing the potential? This is why coin hunting is more than a hobby. It's a treasure hunt with stakes higher than anyone can imagine. And now, as we close this incredible journey through the 2000p, the 1988D, the 1976D, the 2007p, the 2008D, and finally the 1972D Jefferson nickel, the lesson becomes clear: never underestimate the change in your pocket. Within those small pieces of metal could be mistakes, quirks, and rarities worth fortunes that rival the wealth of kings. Some coins buy you groceries, but these coins buy you mansions, islands, or entire empires. So the next time you hear the clink of a nickel hitting your palm, remember the stories we've uncovered today, because that small sound might just be the sound of destiny. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of coins worth hundreds of millions, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join me for more astonishing stories of treasures hiding in plain sight, because who knows, the next legend could already be in your pocket, waiting for you to discover it.